14-year-old, one of the apps we held out for as long as we could, and then he got really, really upset because all of his mates went out and he didn't know about it, and it's because that's the only app that they communicate on, and it was affecting his friendships and it was making him miserable, and we eventually gave in because we just felt like that's really mean to not have him be able to communicate with his friends. So it's so difficult, it's so nuanced, everything that's going on. But what about us adults? How much would it impact if we weren't on social media as much? Maybe you're not. Maybe you don't have anything to do with it and you're living this blissful life. Or maybe because you're not on social media, you miss out on stuff. Do you think you'd be better off? Do you think you'd miss it? Well, recent research published earlier this month by Ofcom, the UK media regulator, says 2/3 of online adults admit they sometimes spend too long on their devices, and some people involved in their study chose to try different strategies to take time away from their screens. Let's bring in Louisa Guise from Reading. She's written a book inspired by her experiences on social media called How to Leave a Group Chat. Hello, Louisa.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
I mean, there's so many different things to get into. Should we start with group chats? Because it just feels like all these groups got set up and we don't really have any sort of guidance, any rules about them. And sometimes, I mean, there can be piles on in there, arguments. It can be a bit of a minefield, can't it?
Well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, you've pretty much hit the nail on the head, and that's why I started writing the book. I started writing this in 2020 when group chats were pretty much the centre of my world. And one particular chat, no names, but somebody bought a new car, and that's all they were going on about, to the point where I was pulling my hair out, and I know at least one other person was pulling their hair out, but nobody was leaving the chat, no one was saying anything. It becomes complicated because you don't want to just ditch everybody else, but you also don't want to be mean or rude to the person that probably doesn't realise that they're stressing everybody else out by talking about the same thing. And of course, that wasn't the only group chat on my phone at all. And it was just a case of turning around one day and realising that something that used to be on my computer, so it was MSN Messenger back in the day, that I just used to use to message my friends when I was a teenager, all of a sudden is on a phone that's next to me all the time, and there's lots of different groups with lots of different people, and it's really just exploded.
What did you discover works for you? What tips? I mean, is it leaving as many groups as you can that you're no longer in, with the doom scrolling and stuff? What have you learned, basically, Louisa?
I've learned that it's not simple. I mean, it sounds very simple to write a message and say, okay, I'm going to leave this chat, but I still want to be friends with all of you. But unfortunately, we're humans, we're complicated. So I think it's important to start educating ourselves and having a bit of a reality check and realizing we don't need all these chats, because it doesn't really work in isolation, just like any conversation. You have to understand each other as well in order for you have to understand other people for them to feel comfortable to leave the chats in the first place. But definitely, when you can, leaving the chats is definitely a good start, because you can start new ones. You can start new ones like anybody having a conversation. You leave a conversation, you start a conversation that ends, and then another one starts. And that's just normal.
I'd be all for some sort of national strategy where we all agree that if someone says someone's lost something, everybody else doesn't go, whether it's a package or a coat at school. No, I haven't got it. Oh, it's not here. We haven't got it. And you have 25 people. Can we just have the person that has got it pipe up? If there were some uniform rules, it would be really brilliant.
Yeah, definitely. And that's what I try to put in my book, ways to be considerate of others in the chat. One example I give is if it's your birthday and one person who happens to be in that chat gives you a nice big present, maybe thank them separately. Don't put it in the chat and then have other people start panicking that they didn't get you a gift that was as nice as that person, or they didn't even know it was your birthday. And normally you wouldn't give each other gifts.
Oh, it's a minefield. Are younger people better at this? Because obviously we have come at it when we're older. Younger people have known no different. Do you think they are better at it?
I think there's a mixture from what I've personally seen. So I've definitely met, because I've been around promoting the book, I've definitely met people who, including younger people, who've said, "Oh, I don't look at my social media. I don't really use social media." But also, I've seen younger people that are just absolutely addicted as well. One example is definitely the gym. You get people, the gym just used to be somewhere you'd go and you'd exercise, and now you get people filming themselves, you get selfie sticks, you get people taking video calls in the changing rooms, you get people sat on the machines taking up the machine so no one else can use it, but they're not even working out, they're just scrolling constantly.
This is a whole new world to me, stuff that's going on in,
Yeah.
in the gym.
And I even need a phone to access my gym to get into it. I have to get a QR code to scan it every time I leave or enter the gym.
That's a thing now, because so often, yes, you need your phone. You can't sort of just ditch it, can you, for a phone-free environment?
No, and I think businesses and organisations could be doing a lot more to help us reduce our phone use by not doing things like making you get a QR code every time you need to do something. Not always taking payments on a phone, because when it's your credit card, when it's your entry ticket, when it's and it is sometimes useful to have tickets on a phone, but not always for places where you shouldn't really be using your phone, like the gym.
Absolutely.
I think businesses could definitely be helping us to use our phones a lot more, and reverting back to old-fashioned methods for sure.
You are just highlighting how complicated it is, Louisa. Thank you very much for telling me about that. How to Leave a Group Chat is the name of Louisa's book. It's Louisa Guise, if you want to get hold of that, if you're thinking, oh, yes, I could do with some suggestions on that. There's been 2 groups recently, one at the weekend properly kicked off that I'm on, and I was just saying to Mark, I was going, oh my gosh, it's real. And then it started the next day, and then eventually someone said, can we leave this over the weekend? Monday morning they were straight on arguing again. It's crazy.